What's up every video and welcome to another body. In today's video, we're gonna be taking a look at something very interesting. Meet Al, the new addition to the Squid lineup. That's right, the Squiddy has officially gone metal! I'm gonna be honest, that is just insane. That was made by our friend Barkhandle. You can subscribe to his YouTube right there. He's got a whole playlist of all of his Balisong related songs. His band also just released their first EP, I think, on Bandcamp, so go check that out, link in the description. Thanks, Barkhandle. Wow. On one hand, the Squiddy-AL makes total sense, but on the other, it seems to break Squid's intended product roster as a whole. At $85, it sits right between the Squiddy-A at $75 and the Mako V4.5 at $100. So why would you buy this over those other options, especially if the Mako isn't that much more expensive? If only there was an overproduced YouTube video from a white guy with a beard and opinions to give you the answer. Here has got the same pivot mechanism as the Mako and Triton, running simply on washers, which means that tuning can be more difficult than a bushing balisong. But that's where the similarities end. The aluminum construction of the Squiddy followed in the wake of the Swordfish, something that I knew was only beginning to affect the balisong market. These new all-aluminum trainers have very unique flipping properties due to how their weight is distributed. While I like the Swordfish, I wasn't blown away by it either. The revolutionary construction was a very cool selling point, but the price to flipping performance ratio left a bit to be desired. However, the Squiddy-AL is different. Our buddy Al here fixes a lot of the problems that I had with the Swordfish. The construction feels at home here and not out of place. The Squiddy blade was already made of the same material as the handles, so it doesn't feel as revolutionary in this context, but that's not a bad thing. The price in this case feels much more like a bargain to me, giving good construction and the performance of a metal balisong for under $90 from Squid Industries is really cool. I think the order of release, though, was important. The all-aluminum design of the Swordfish as a new product entirely made it stand out much more than it does in this implementation. Construction and design-wise, this thing is actually pretty interesting. Of course, it is fully made of 6061 aluminum, but the way that that aluminum was machined is very important. The texture of the Squiddy-AL is fantastic. On the faces, the texture is basically exactly the same as the Squid trainer, just without the bead blast. The sides are extremely unique though, giving this interesting and soft yet grippy feeling that I honestly love. Also, it looks beautiful just in any lighting conditions. I mean, think about how crazy the accomplishment here is. They perfectly balanced a good grip and good feel in the hand and made it look really cool all at the same time. That is a deceptively hard thing to accomplish. The overall design is still very Squiddy-esque, but I love the new face and hair they gave the blade. Plus, this very subtle callback to the first Squid logo sticker that they actually used on the first release of the Squiddy is a really cool touch.
And it's the right orientation! Finally.
The addition of a bite handle indicator on the blade is a welcome one, especially necessary as this Squiddy splits the gap between plastic toy and metal trainer. The washers are surprisingly good, and honestly, I don't expect or need anything else at this price point. The durability is exactly what you'd expect with 6061 aluminum for the entire thing, but the finish actually hides scratches and blemishes pretty well within its texture. Also hidden within this design are threaded eye holes. That's right, the holes for the eyes are actually threaded to accept specific set screw weights, which slightly change the balance of the knife. This is a great design feature, and even though both Brandon and I experienced a concerning amount of effort being required to install these screws into the blade, Lucas has said that they addressed that issue for the final release and are including a better quality installation tool with every purchase. But how do all of these design features actually change the way the knife performs while flipping? If only there was a short gag with a slightly more tan white guy throwing something into the air while proclaiming Yahoo to introduce the next B-roll sequence.
Yahoo!
My thoughts on the way this Balisong flips have been complex. The balance is a little wonky, but the format is very familiar at the same time. After flipping it for a couple weeks though, I started to really enjoy it. It's strange, but unique in a good way, I think. It's not the most performant flipper ever, but it does extremely well in the things it's good at, like fanning and ricochets. Changing the direction of this Balisong mid-flip is a breeze, and means that it performs surprisingly similar to how the original Squiddy does, just scaled up in terms of weight. In fact, I think the original Squiddy is a perfect analog for how this thing flips. It's just as good and just as weird, but heavier. That means that it carries its own momentum better, which leads to better performance on aerials and parabolics. The only area where it's really lacking is with chaplains, similar to the original. You can chaplain fine, but it's closer to something like the performance of a Vulp than something like the Kraken, with a wider chaplain radius being rewarded. If you aren't careful or go too fast, it'll fly right off your fingers.
Oh, it's cool. I caught it.
Oh.
We're good. Oh, no, there it goes.
The grip from the texture is really fantastic though, and it feels awesome to flip with. It provides plenty of what you need for almost any trick, although the grip on the sides is just barely enough to do ladders. If you don't have the finger strength, the Balisong will absolutely just fly out of your hand during ladders, and so jimping is definitely missing here. I don't think those small downsides ruin the experience at all though. Instead, I found the Squiddy-AL to be a really fun addition to my collection, and I found myself reaching for it to flip far more than I did with the Swordfish. That's not to say that the Swordfish is bad, I'm just finding that I prefer the familiarity of the Squiddy-AL a lot more as time goes on. One last thing I'd like to touch on is this modular weight system. It is surprising how much of a difference in feel these tiny little eye weights add, but it isn't anything crazy. I found that I prefer how it flips without the weights, as I thought it made chaplains just ever so slightly more consistent. But of course, balance is extremely subjective and your mileage will certainly vary. You can also take out the hardware from the end of the handle, but I honestly didn't enjoy the way that felt to flip at all.
I honestly don't enjoy the way that you're still sitting in this seat.
Great. He's gone. I destroyed him, and I'm grateful.
Honestly, me too.
Will and I are pretty much in full agreement on our thoughts on the Squiddy-AL. The look of it is what stands out to me the most, and shooting B-roll for this review was a complete joy, just with the raw finish of the aluminum and how it reflects light in so many different cool ways. So I love the cool, if not silly little guy look that Al has. It will get pretty easily damaged due to the all aluminum handles and blade, and the lack of anodization, so maybe don't yeet this into the ground 20 plus times like I did to my poor Nautilus V2. I really damaged you, but you're still holding up well, especially with your new zippy inserts. Ooh-hoo-hoo. Everything that Will said about the flipping was spot on. The eye weight system is cool, but as Will said, inserting them on our models was a complete pain in the ass. I'm a complete yeah, you're a complete pain in the ass. Yeah, we get it. That's the joke. Go home. But I literally live in this exact spot. I literally live in this exact spot. Anyway, so even as someone that loves customization, I'd say that the stock experience is my favorite. And as for its competition, $85 is super competitive. Balisongs under $100 just keep getting better, and this allows Squid to compete in that area much better than they have in the past. If this came out back in 2018 when I got into flipping with my original Squiddy, even with the low income that I had at the time, I would have just saved up for the Squiddy-AL instead of spending money on pretty much any of the plastic Squiddy models. The biggest competitor for something like this is, honestly, the Vulp. The look is so different, but they flip so similarly that I can see different people enjoying both quite a bit, like I have. And in my opinion, this doesn't beat out things 2 to 3 times the price, like the Swordfish or the Squid Trainer or the Mighty Holy Crackerakin. But it's a great entry point and a fun collector's item. And as for the BS scores we gave to this knife, which are right here, and by the way, you don't even need those scores, since Squid Industries has their very own scoring system that they determine by themselves, with no community input, for their own products. Oh no. Okay, quick nitpick here. Squid now gives their own Balisongs different scores, and some of them make honestly a lot of sense, like grip and durability and tolerances, but then you get to the balance score, which on paper could work, but how does one quantify out of 10 such a difficult thing to pinpoint like balance? Especially when almost every single Balisong that they make is given a 10, except for the plastic Squiddies, which have a 9. Ooh. Why do Al and the Mako both have a 4 out of 10 grip score? Why does the Squiddy B have a higher durability score than Al? Why do the Squid Trainer V4 and the Squiddy-A have the same durability score? Okay, so I'm mostly poking fun. The system is pretty consistent when you look closely at it, but I do think it needs work and/or some community input. And you know what needs my input? The Brandon clones, who I sent back in time to World War II to defend war-torn Poland. Off to the Eastern Front.
Let the people know.
Overall, I've got to say, I was really surprised by Al. If you'd like to get an Al of your own, consider using our affiliate link for a discount. Click the link below or go to squid.willhirsch.gay to get a percentage off your purchase and support us at the same time. You can get your own funky little dude, just a nifty little blorbo. What a great opportunity for Scrimblow acquisition. Thank you to Lucas for being a bro and sending these out to Brandon and I. We've been enjoying them a lot. Also, thank you to our wonderful Patreon supporters for their support. Wow. Things have been up and down recently, with Brandon and I both moving our living situations entirely, but we're doing our best to still try and keep making stuff for you to watch during that. If you'd like to help support that effort, consider joining awesome people like Euro and Give Me Your Knees in the private community Discord. Tiers start at just $3 a month, and every bit goes to supporting my ability. Tears, get it? It's a joke. Tears.
Laugh!
But that's pretty much it for the moment. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got better things to do.
Ow! 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 Ow!